host J-Man. On this edition of the IWR, we're going to do our 2012 TNA Destination X preview coming this Sunday on pay-per-view. Really big pay-per-view this Sunday. I have not looked forward to a TNA pay-per-view in a very long time than I am for this pay-per-view, even more than Destination X last year, Bound for Glories over the past couple of years, Slammiversaries. This card on paper I am super stoked for. I'm just all about this, the X Division tournament they're doing, the main event they got going on, the other matches they have going on. Everything about this pay-per-view is just, I'm all for it. And it's going to be some great stuff, obviously, with what's on paper here. Hopefully it can deliver on Sunday, because, you know, with what we got here, I don't know how they really can. Obviously, the biggest thing going on Sunday is for the majority of the night is going to be the X Division title tournament. They're going to be holding, obviously, with what's going on with Option C, as Austin Aries is calling it, with having it be where every year at Destination X, the X Division champion at the time will have the opportunity to be stripped of the X Division championship in order to get a World Heavyweight Championship opportunity at the Destination X pay-per-view. I think this is fucking brilliant. I love this idea. I think it brings focus to the X Division more. I think it makes it seem like it's that kind of, it makes it have that kind of workhorse feel to where these guys are going to work their asses off all year to, obviously become X Division champion, have some of the best matches of the night or the pay-per-view or whatever's going on. But then, in the long run, come summer, come Destination X, they're going to have an opportunity to go for the World Heavyweight Championship. Like I said, I think it's a great idea. It's great that Austin Aries is the one to, obviously TNA thought of it up, but Austin Aries is a guy who can kind of fit that mold of this idea, which I think is a really cool idea. The only thing that's kind of a downer about last year's Destination, this year's Destination X, and moving forward is the fact that it really seems that only this pay-per-view is where we get the focus of, this is what TNA is, this is what TNA was, and this is what TNA is, truly capable of. Over the past, pay-per-views over, the year or so, or 2 years, or however long Hogan's been there, or whatever, it's just been kind of lackadaisical pay-per-view after pay-per-view where they just keep building to stuff. But this one really seems like, a culmination of what people want. It's what everybody, wants out of, TNA, all the true diehard fans like all of us in the IWRshow, and, the fans that just love to see great wrestling. They want to see this kind of action, the X Division stuff, and the other amazing matches that we have in here, the Bound for Glory Series match, Last Man Standing match, and obviously the World Title match. It just seems like, once a year we're going to get this great pay-per-view, and everything else will just be, what it is. Bound for Glory are always great, Slammiversaries and this kind of stuff, but, this should be what we get every month, TNA. I mean, this is what you guys are capable of. This is what we know about you, and the talent that the roster has. This is the kind of stuff we should get each and every month, but we don't get it. We get to see a boring ass fucking Mr. Anderson Jeff Hardy match that we've seen 1,000 times. Or we get to see fucking Abyss wrestling as his brother, or this fucking shit, or just half-ass knockouts matches, or this kind of stuff. But this is what we should get. This is what we're capable of, and hopefully if they deliver with what they have on paper, it's going to be greatness. Which, I hope it can be. But yeah, so the X Division title tournament, the majority of the night, everything's going to be going on here. They actually just added a last chance 4-way match to determine the 8th and final qualifier for the tournament, 8-man tournament, obviously, featuring Mason Andrews. Obviously, some of these guys have been in the indies and stuff. Mason Andrews, Scorpio Sky, for you out there that know that. Rubik's, Jigsaw from Chikara, other promotions, stuff like that. Dakota Darso, obviously son of famous wrestler, and also former developmental talent for WWE, and Lars Only featured in this 4-way. This one's tough. I think it's between Mason Andrews and Rubik's. I'll go with Mason Andrews, just, or Scorpio Sky, whatever you want to say. Just kind of the more well-traveled guy. I could probably work with a majority of more talent. Not saying that the other guys can, but I just think it suits, Mason Andrews more to possibly work with the other talent that's in this tournament. So I'm going to go with him winning that. It could be anybody. You guys could throw out a million names to, see who wins really this and the entire tournament. But, that will bring us into the 4 singles matches, the semifinals that will end up in the 4-way Ultimate X, which will be the final. The rest of the combatants, the other 7, will be strictly TNA talent, Doug Williams, Kid Catch, and Zema Ion, and then outside talent coming in from these qualifiers and stuff like that, which was Flip Casanova, Rashad Cameron, Sanjay Dutt, former TNA talent, and Kenny King. Very interesting story going on with Kenny King right now. Obviously, fans of Ring of Honor out there, obviously the Ring of Honor talent, Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champion, just won the title at the pay-per-view. The titles with Rhett Titus and the All-Night Express. At Best in the World. This is just craziness going on right here with Kenny King and Ring of Honor kind of making a mutual handshake kind of agreement for his contract that just came up, and he just kind of had this period in the middle where he could go on to sign a long-term contract with Ring of Honor. He could, go talk with other companies if they were going to possibly sign him up for a long-term deal, whatever he was going to do. But he had the verbal ability to go, or the Ring of Honor saying that he could go talk with other promotion stuff like that, but he cannot make on air or wrestle on air or even be shown on air on any of their promotions and stuff like that. So he's allowed to go kind of talk and negotiate and stuff like that. Well, this past Thursday morning, Kenny King went and talked with TNA, and obviously something went down to where he was negotiated something to where he was able to go on and wrestle on Thursday, be in the qualifier matchup for the X Division title tournament, winning that matchup, and now going on to the pay-per-view. So interesting stuff here. Ring of Honor, who's just infuriated with, I don't think that's a word, whatever, we'll make it up, with Kenny King, to where now he is completely done with the Ring of Honor, I guess. I guess there's no mention of him. He will not be working with the Ring of Honor no longer. This is big on both levels, whether the fact that I have Kenny King and TNA, and the fact that Ring of Honor just lost one of their best up-and-coming, young talent on their roster. That's a completely other subject we could go off onto. There's just huge stuff going on here with the whole Kenny King situation. Who knows what the future is with, Ring of Honor, the tag title situation. Ring of Honor said that, they'll be figuring stuff out. Rhett Titus kind of left on his own. So this whole stuff is kind of going to have to work itself out here in the long run to see what's going to happen in the future, but really big stuff going on there with Kenny King. Kenny King winning his qualifier match into this, so now we have also the 8th and final member of that, which was Kenny King. And obviously all these will have the singles matches, could be some great stuff out there. Interesting to see what kind of one-on-one matches we could get there. Could see some great stuff out of that, which will move on to the 4-way Ultimate X match to determine the new X Division champion. With all these guys coming in there, the winners of their match will go to this matchup. This one was hard to figure out what they're going to do here. I mean, you look at the strictly TNA talent, you have Doug Williams, Kid Catch, Zema Ion, blah. I mean, no one would give a shit if any of those guys won. They want to see something new, they want to see something fresh, and they want to see something that's just not, whatever. Ooh, wow, Doug Williams or Zema Ion or Kid Catch won the title. No one's going to give a shit. They shouldn't win the title. They shouldn't win the title if that was only them and there was none of these new guys. It's just unneeded. So it's going to have to be one of these new guys, I think, and obviously eliminating those other guys that were in the matches there. I put Mason Andrews in there, but the winner of the Ultimate X and new X Division champion, I'm going to go with Kenny King, and here's my reasoning for that. Obviously with Kenny King, we've met him personally, me and Ryan. I know we never talked to you about this, but we actually did a meet and greet where we got to meet Kenny King. He seems like a fucking awesome guy and a really stand-up guy, and it really seems like, he has a daughter and a family and all this kind of stuff to where he needs to possibly move on in his career, make more money, do whatever. But it really seems like maybe in that conversation that they had, or whatever agreement that TNA and Kenny King had, to where something like, man, we're having this X Division title tournament, we love your look, we've seen you wrestle, you're great. We have, guys in the back like Austin Aries, who he's been in factions with before, knows how he works with back in Ring of Honor. He knows how great he is. They saw how great he is, charisma, everything, look. Everybody knows, the potential that Kenny King has for, being a future star in, the long run. He's an absolutely great talent. And reason being is, he could have had that, conversation to where, we're going to give you the X Division title, we're going to run with it, we're going to sign you up here with all the stuff going on with the, the gut check and all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, just throwing him in there, it's just all crazy to have this all happen at one time. But I could see him to where he, ends his run with the Ring of Honor. It's kind of a weird way that all ended and all this kind of stuff. Like I said, it's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds here. But, I think there's something there to where he's like, I'm going to end this to start something new. And maybe it's him, winning the X Division title. I'd be all for it. I think it'd be fucking fantastic. I'd be marking like a bitch just for just how amazing this turnaround is over the past 3 days. Just seeing him show up, and if he could possibly win the title at Sunday and then be a regular on TNA as an X Division champion would be fucking crazy and ridiculous. It might not happen. He might lose his first fucking match. Who knows? But like I said, those regular TNA guys, who gives a shit? I mean, outside of that, there's some talented guys there, but it's just nothing really stands out. Kenny King is a guy that you look at the screen, he stands out to you. And I think it would be a smart move on TNA's part to end up doing that. But this will be some craziness going down here for the X Division title tournament. And the Ultimate X match. Didn't even, mention the fact that, we're going to have an Ultimate X match on this pay-per-view as well. So, great stuff there. Hopefully going to be going down on the pay-per-view. And I'm going to go with Kenny King. He's the new X Division champion. Who cares? It's my pick. Fuck off. They could be fucking sweet. So we're going to go with that. Now to the just regular matches we have on the pay-per-view here. We have a Bound for Glory Series match featuring Kurt Angle going up against Samoa Joe. What the hell is there, to say about that? I don't care if they just threw it together. It's one of the best feuds in TNA's history. Fantastic shit. It's going to be fantastic shit yet again. A pay-per-view matchup with Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe. There's really nothing else you could say about that. Obviously, you go over all the history they've had. When Kurt Angle came in and feuded with Joe and the amazing matches they had there. Joe winning the TNA World Championship from Kurt Angle at Lockdown in 2008. Great stuff there. It'll be great stuff here as you get out of all these kind of, these guys in TNA that are like, the AJs and the Daniels and the Joes and the Kurts and, all those guys just produce greatness every time they're out there. And thankfully, Samoa Joe getting an opportunity out there. We saw him Slammiversary at that X Division Championship matchup with Austin Aries, which was, great as well. So can only be, moving on here to be some greatness. I'm going to go with Kurt Angle winning this matchup here. They just never seem to give Joe any wins at all. He'll get his little, impact wins, stuff like that, but seemingly big wins, they still haven't gotten there with Joe, which is unfortunate. But I'm going to go with Kurt getting the win in the Bound for Glory Series matchup. Next matchup, we had a last man standing match between the phenomenal AJ Styles and the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels. All this really revolving on that continued storyline with AJ Daniels, Kaz, Dixie Carter, this fucking chick that they brought in, who was pregnant and a heroin addict or whatever the fuck. She eats bath salts. I don't know what the fuck she does. God, me and all the guys from the IWR were talking just how fucking terrible that ending segment it was on Impact, where the woman was revealed that AJ and Daniels were, or AJ and Dixie were helping her out with all this shit. That was, God, that was fucking horrendous. One of the worst, if not the worst segment in, Impact TNA history, whatever the fuck you want to say. That was just god-awful. And thankfully they semi-saved it. It's still fucking atrocious and should not be done with the amazing talent that they're, using in this storyline. But with Daniel saying that now AJ's fucking got her knocked up and now it's AJ's kid and all this fucking soap opera bullshit that I really don't care about as long as we get this matchup, which we are. I'm going to go with AJ getting the win in this matchup. Every time they're out there, I don't know how many times we have to say it, we've seen, just tons and tons of AJ Daniels matches. They've always been great. They'll always deliver. It's almost a lock every time. They could probably go out there with their fucking eyes closed and, deliver greatness. That's what they do every time. We say it, they do it. It's just what happens. I'm going to go with AJ getting the win. And yet another amazing AJ Daniels match, last man standing this time, so should be some great stuff yet again. Moving on now to the main event, we have the TNA World title on the line when champion Bobby Roode goes up against A-Double Austin Aries. Austin Aries getting a shot for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Let me say that again. Austin Aries getting a shot against Bobby Roode for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. If you would have told me, a year ago when Austin Aries walked into TNA that he'd be getting a TNA World Heavyweight Championship opportunity at an outstanding pay-per-view card a year after he just got on the pay-per-view, I just said you're fucking crazy, to be totally honest with you, because this is just stuff that we would think of, because I mean it's just outstanding to see the opportunity for not only Austin Aries getting a shot here, but just Bobby Roode's title run, this historic title run, now the longest reigning TNA World Champion in TNA's history, outstanding title run. He's just become a glorified, just main event, just fucking juggernaut superstar in all of wrestling, not just TNA. So yeah, this is going to be great. The kind of meshing of different styles. You know, Bobby Roode's kind of just classic kind of grappling, whatever, you know, wrestling kind of style, and Austin Aries just, you know, really unorthodox hybrid kind of style. He's got the high flying and the submissions and all this kind of stuff that he's going to do there. It's going to blend together perfectly, and I think this is going to be a really standout match for this entire card, out of probably a lot of standout matches that can be possible in this card. But they've really, out of even the stuff with James Storm and Bobby Roode, they've really you know, gotten to the idea that this could really be the time that Bobby Roode will finally lose the World Championship. You know, with the whole entire gimmick behind the Destination X pay-per-view now, with how hot Austin Aries is and everybody getting behind him, this really seems as though this is going to be the time that Roode's going to drop the title. I don't think it is. I would love to see Austin Aries win the World Championship. It'd be fucking outstanding, and finally something that TNA, you know, will do right. And, you know, not saying that Bobby Roode, you know, shouldn't keep the title, but it's, you know, to that point to where if he drops it, you know, he had the longest reign in history. They could, you know, try something new. But I really am just thinking they're going to run with this idea of, you know, having Roode go all the way to Bound for Glory, and then have Storm win the Bound for Glory series and have him win the title from him, which I'd be all for too. You know, with you know, the way Storm's going, I'm a huge James Storm fan as well. So to see that go down, they could have another great matchup with Bound for Glory would be great as well. But this, you know, obviously I wouldn't be shocked at all if Austin Aries won the title. It'd be fucking crazy and amazing all at the same time. But I'm going to go through retaining the championship here, and what should be an outstanding match, and really what should be an outstanding night of action. I cannot wait for this Sunday for this pay-per-view. I know it sounds like this table should be just lifting up with just a rock-hard J-Man boner, but it's not. The biggest thing for me, it's going to be hilarious just to see, you know, all those people that were, you know, saying, you know, and rating that, you know, Slammiversary is just fucking outstanding and the greatest, you know, thing. Oh, it's so great. It's, you know, a turnaround. This is where the turnaround could really come. This is really going to prove, like, well, shit, we overrated that Slammiversary pay-per-view, didn't we? Because this is what they're capable of. This is what they can do with the, you know, the amazing, you know, talent that they have on their roster that they usually don't focus on. And, you know, now they, you know, do this once a year at the Destination X pay-per-view. They really focus on the X division. They really cut out the shit that they don't need on their pay-per-views and on their, you know, show. So if it delivers what they can't have on paper right now, it's going to be outstanding, and I'm really hoping for that. But this will now wrap up our 2012 TNA Destination X preview. Be sure to check out a review after the pay-per-view Sunday. I am your host, J-Man, and thank you for watching another edition of the Instant Wrestling Report, your source for professional wrestling news, information, opinions instantly.
This is a battleground!